The decision was born not in counsel, but in silence. Eddard Stark had always trusted silences more than speeches. Men embroidered their intentions with words, dressed fear as prudence and greed as duty, but silence stripped them bare. It had been so when Robert first entered Winterfell beneath the grey towers, laughing too loudly beneath a sky the color of old iron. It had been so in the crypts, where his king had spoken of dead women, dead hands, and a realm neither of them understood as well as they once believed. And it was so now, in the crowded warmth of the great hall, when Ned looked beyond the king's flushed face and saw Theon Greyjoy laughing with Robb. The laughter was easy. That troubled him. Theon had learned the sound at Winterfell. Ned knew that because Balon Greyjoy's son had not laughed that way when he first came north. The boy brought from Pyke after the rebellion had been all watchful eyes and stiff shoulders, too proud to weep before the men who had killed his brothers, and too young to understand why pride did not stop his hands from trembling. He had arrived smelling of salt, smoke, and seasickness. In his first year, he had slept with a knife beneath his pallet until Sir Roderick took it away. In his second, he had ceased asking when his father would send for him. By his third, he had stopped speaking of Pyke unless mocked into it. Now he wore a wolf fur mantle over black leather. He drank with Robb, traded barbs with Jon, flirted with serving girls, and carried himself as though every chamber belonged to him until someone said the word hostage. Then for a heartbeat he became the frightened boy again. Robert followed Ned's gaze. "Greyjoy's whelp," he said loud enough that several nearby men heard him. "As his father's look, less sour perhaps. He has lived half his life here, and ought to thank you for it." Pyke would have turned him into another little pirate. The king drained his cup and thrust it at a passing servant. Robert had grown broader since the rebellion, and softer, though no less immense. His beard had become a thicket. His eyes, once bright with appetite for every contest, were often clouded now by wine or memory. Ned watched Theon clap Robb on the shoulder after some jest. The motion seemed brotherly. That troubled him too. "What becomes of him when Balon dies?" Ned asked. Robert snorted. "He inherits a wet rock and 1,000 men who think theft is a sacrament." "Does he?" The king turned. "He is the heir. He is a stranger to them. Then they can learn his face. They have learned his sisters." Robert's good humor thinned. He had little patience for problems without a sword-shaped answer. "What are you circling, Ned?" Ned did not reply at once. At the high table, Cersei spoke quietly with Jaime. Tyrion Lannister had vanished into the lower benches, where he drank with men who stared at him and pretended not to. Sansa sat near the prince, dazzled by silk and golden hair. Arya had escaped her place entirely. Bran lay broken in his bed, and Catelyn had scarcely left him. The realm seemed at peace. Ned had lived long enough to recognize peace as the most convincing of lies. "I would send Theon home," he said. Robert's laughter rolled across the table. A few men turned, smiling because their king had laughed, though they did not know why. When Ned did not join him, Robert's amusement faded. "You cannot mean it." "I do. Balon bent the knee because his last son was in your keeping. Balon bent the knee because you broke his walls. Stannis smashed his fleet, and I stood over him with a sword." And the boy ensured he remembered. "For 9 years, if fear has not taught Balon obedience by now, another 9 will not." Robert leaned closer, lowering his voice. "Has the wine made you foolish without touching your lips? The boy is a hostage." "Duh. He's a hostage who believes himself a Stark when it pleases him and a Greyjoy when it wounds him. If Balon rises again, Theon must either die for his father's crime or betray the house that raised him. We have made a man whose only honorable choices destroy him." "Honor," Robert muttered, as though it were a tax collector who had come at supper. Ned felt the old division between them, the one that victory had concealed, but never healed. Robert believed loyalty could be hammered into shape. Ned believed a thing forced too hard would break. "Send him back under your protection," Ned said. "Not secretly. Not as a concession. Return him before the lords of the Iron Islands as Balon's lawful heir and your sworn man. Make Balon acknowledge him. Make the captain see that his rights come with the king's favor. Robert stared at him. You want me to sail to Pyke? I want the Iron Islands tied to the realm by more than fear. I have feasts waiting in King's Landing. You have feasts wherever you go. That won a reluctant grunt of amusement. Ned continued. We ride west to Seaguard. Lord Mallister can gather ships. From Pyke we sail to Lannisters and take the Gold Road east. The journey will cost us days, no more. No. Danda. Cersei will love that. I had not mistaken this for a gift to the Queen. Robert's grin appeared briefly, then vanished. And if Balon takes the boy and spits on my oath the moment my sail is gone, then Theon will know what his father is. More importantly, the captains will know what their king has rejected. You put much faith in a peacock. I put faith in what he may become when no longer kept between a blade and a block. Across the hall, Theon looked toward them. Perhaps he had felt the weight of their attention. His smile remained, but his eyes sharpened. Robert scratched at his beard. You have told him. No. Catelyn. No. Gods, Ned. You would rather face Balon's fleet than your own wife. That may be so. Robert laughed again, but quietly this time. Bring the boy. Theon approached with the confidence of a man accustomed to being summoned by high lords, and the caution of one who had never forgotten why. He bowed to Robert first. Your Grace. Robert studied him. Do you want to go home? The question struck more deeply than an accusation. Theon's expression did not collapse. He had too much vanity for that. Yet Ned saw the small tightening at the corner of his mouth. Winterfell has been my home, Your Grace. A courtier's answer, Robert said. I asked what you want. Theon glanced at Ned. I want what is mine. There was Balon in that answer, but something of Robb as well. Robert slapped the table hard enough to rattle the cups. Good. You will ride with us to Seaguard and sail beside me to Pyke. Your father will receive his heir from the king's own hand and swear before every salt-bearded thief on those islands that you follow him in lordship. Me. Die. Ba. Betty. Theon did not move. The hall seemed to recede from him. His swagger, his easy grin, all the armor he had built from mockery and charm, became suddenly useless. My lord? He asked Ned. You were not being cast out, Ned said. Theon's eyes flickered. No. I should have sent you sooner. That hurt him. Ned saw it, though Theon concealed it quickly. Robert gestured for more wine. You look as if I have sentenced you. Most men would sing to hear they were being given a castle. Nani, and Coup. Pyke is no castle, Theon said before caution could stop him. Not as you mean it. Robert barked a laugh. There. He knows the place already. Theon bowed again and withdrew. He did not return to Robb. Instead, he left the hall alone. Catelyn found Ned before midnight. She entered their chamber without a word and shut the door behind her. The lamps were low. Outside, wind moved against the shutters in long, cold breaths. You are sending him away, she said. The king is returning him to his father. Why? Ned removed his cloak slowly. Because keeping him has made neither the North nor the Iron Islands safer. It has kept Balon quiet. Robert's victory kept Balon quiet. And when Robert is gone, the question hung between them. Ned thought of the king wheezing after climbing the steps from the crypts. He thought of Jon Arryn dead without warning. Of Lysa's letter hidden and burned. Of Cersei's pale children and the secret Catelyn believed had killed the hand before him. All men die, he said, which is why hostages are taken. Theon was 10. He is not 10 now. No, he is a man who has never been allowed to decide what sort. Catelyn's face hardened. She had never been cruel to Theon, but she had never forgotten what he represented. To her, he was not merely a ward. He was the living guarantee that ships would not appear beneath northern cliffs while their men marched elsewhere. What if Balon raises his banners the moment Theon returns? Then Theon will have a choice. And you believe he will choose us? Ned looked toward the dark window. I believe a choice freely made binds more strongly than one forced. Catelyn came closer. Robb loves him. I know. That is not a reason to send him into a nest of men who will call that love weakness. No, Ned said. It is the reason he may survive them. Robb took the news worse than Catelyn. He found Theon in the yard before dawn, loosing arrows at a straw man while Frost silvered the flagstones. Theon had always shot well. That morning, each arrow struck near the heart. You were going to leave without telling me, Robb said. I learned of it at supper. You left the hall. I had packing to do. You own 3 shirts. 4. I have prospered in your father's care. Robb did not smile. Do you want to go? Theon drew another arrow. Everyone has taken great interest in what I want now that it no longer matters. It matters to me. The shaft flew and buried itself beside the others. Theon lowered the bow. For once, he seemed unable to find a jest. I used to dream of Pyke every night. I remembered towers taller than Winterfell, waves striking the walls. My mother singing when storms came. I remembered my father as a giant. You were a child. Yes. Theon looked at the target. Children have the clearest memories. That is why most of them are false. Robb stepped beside him. You could refuse. To the king? To my father. And remain what? Your brother with a knife waiting at his throat? I would never. You would not need to. If Balon rebelled, Lord Eddard would do what honor required. That is what makes him Lord Eddard. Robb's anger drained into misery. Then, come back. Theon's face softened. When? When you have made Balon name you heir. When the king's business is done. Come back to visit. A Greyjoy visiting Winterfell. Your bannermen would clutch their daughters and count the spoons. We will buy wooden spoons. That earned the smile Robb had sought, though it faded quickly. Jon waited near the stables when the royal party departed 2 days later. He was bound for the wall, dressed in black that looked too new and too clean. Theon reined in beside him. For years they had competed without friendship and quarreled without hatred, each resenting in the other a place at Winterfell neither fully possessed. So, Theon said, the bastard goes north and the hostage goes west. Jon rested one hand on his saddle. Perhaps we will both find what we think we want. You sound like an old man already. You sound frightened. Theon's smile flashed sharp. Careful, Snow. Jon held his gaze. You do not have to become your father. For a moment, Theon seemed poised to strike him. Then he looked toward Ned, waiting farther down the road beside Robert. No, Theon said. I suppose that is the one thing I know. He rode away before Jon could answer. At the edge of the Wolfswood, Theon turned in his saddle. Winterfell stood behind him beneath the morning sky, its towers trailing pale steam, its walls half veiled by falling snow. Robb watched from the gate. Catelyn stood above him on the battlements, one hand lifted against the wind. Ned did not look back. Perhaps he could not. Theon raised his arm once. Then Robert's banners rolled westward, the crowned stag bright against the gray, and the last son of Balon Greyjoy rode beneath them toward the sea. The sea announced Pyke long before the islands appeared. It changed beneath the ships, darkening from river gray to a black green that seemed to swallow the daylight. The waves rose with the wind and struck the royal galleys from the west, lifting them on ridges of water before dropping them into troughs that hid the horizon. Courtiers sickened. Knights who had boasted of battles clung to rails and emptied their bellies. Robert stood at the prow through most of it. The king had found new life in the voyage. Salt stiffened his beard, rain ran from his cloak, and each hard impact of the hull against the waves made him laugh like the warrior Ned remembered. He drank less at sea, whether because the motion satisfied him or because spilled wine offended him more than danger. Theon watched Pyke emerge through rain. At first there were only teeth of stone. Then towers became visible, rising from separate pillars of rock, connected by swaying bridges that looked fragile enough to be torn away by a strong man's hand. Waves exploded white at their bases. Gulls circled in screaming clouds. His memories had made the castle larger. They had not made it crueler. He stood beside Ned beneath the royal stag, dressed in black and gold chosen for him at Seaguard. Robert had insisted he not arrive in stark gray. Theon understood the reason. A son could be forgiven for the clothes of his captor. An heir wearing another house's colors would be seen as conquered before he spoke. Yet beneath the fine cloak he wore the leather bracers Robb had given him. "Can you see him?" Ned asked. Theon did not need to ask whom he meant. Balon waited above the landing with his household gathered behind him. Even at a distance, Theon recognized his father's narrow shape. He had remembered a broad man with shoulders like a gate. The figure on the steps was lean, almost gaunt, with long gray hair snapping around a face carved by years of grievance. A woman stood at Balon's right. Asha. Theon knew her by the way she stood, feet planted against the wind as naturally as a captain on a deck. His sister had been a girl in his memory, long-legged and sharp-tongued, forever climbing where she had been forbidden. The woman below wore an axe at her hip and looked at the approaching king without awe. "She has our mother's eyes," Theon said. Ned glanced at him. "You remember them?" "I remember everything today." The royal galley struck the landing posts. Sailors cast ropes. Ironborn hands caught them without cheers. Robert was first onto the wet stone. No herald announced him. No trumpet could have defeated the wind. He climbed the steps with one hand resting on the hammer at his belt, though the weapon was ceremonial compared with the great warhammer he had once carried. Ned followed. Theon came behind them, aware of every face. Some captains stared with curiosity, others with contempt. A few looked at him and saw a boy returned in a king's shadow. Balon descended 3 steps, no more. "Your Grace," he said. The words were correct. His tone made them an accusation. Robert stopped below him. "You look older, Greyjoy. You look heavier." Ned heard swords shift in scabbards behind him. Then Robert laughed. The sound rolled against the rocks. "Good. I feared defeat had made you courteous." Balon did not smile. His gaze moved to Ned, and then to Theon. Nothing in his face changed. Theon had imagined this moment through half his life. In some dreams, Balon embraced him. In others, he struck Ned dead and placed a crown on Theon's head. Sometimes his mother ran down the steps and called his childhood name. His father looked at him as he might have inspected a ship returned after a long voyage, uncertain how much rot lay beneath the paint. "You have grown," Balon said. "I was 10. And now? A man?" Asha's mouth curved faintly. Balon's gaze traveled over the fine cloak, the jeweled clasp, the smooth leather boots. "A Greenland man by the look of you." Theon felt Robert watching. He felt Ned watching more closely. "Your son," he answered. Balon's eyes chilled. "We shall see." Robert mounted the remaining steps until he stood close enough that Balon had to tilt his head upward. "You shall do more than see. You shall name him before your captains, swear him your heir, and thank me for bringing him home. I did not ask for him." Something inside Theon, something young and carefully buried, moved beneath his ribs. Robert's expression hardened. "You did not ask me to spare you either." Euron Greyjoy emerged from among the priests. He was thinner than Balon, his hair dark and dripping despite the cold. Seaweed had been woven through his beard. His eyes fixed on Theon with religious severity. "What is dead may never die," Euron said. Theon knew the response. He had whispered it in bed during his first years at Winterfell, where no one could hear. But rises again, he said, harder and stronger. Euron studied him. Has the sea claimed you? The sea made me before the Starks knew my name. Words, Balon said. Ned stepped forward. Words are why we have come. Balon's attention sharpened. You stole my son. I took your heir as surety after you rebelled. You killed my sons. My men killed armed men in battle. Your king broke my walls. Robert looked delighted by the reminder. I can break them again. Rain struck the stones between them. Theon saw how easily it might end there. An insult, a drawn blade, a king's temper, and Pyke would become a battlefield before sunset. Balon seemed almost to desire it. Defeat had not cured his pride. It had preserved it in bitterness. Theon climbed until he stood between them. Every Ironborn eye followed him. I was taken because you lost, he said to Balon. His father's face went still. Theon continued before fear could reach his voice. That is the truth no song here can drown. You crowned yourself. My brothers died. Your fleet burned. I went north because Lord Eddard could have taken your head and chose a hostage instead. Balon's fingers tightened at his sides. You defend them quickly. I name the price you paid. I was part of it. You speak as though you were a chest of gold. For 9 years I was. Asha's faint smile had vanished. She was looking at him seriously now. Robert folded his arms. Ned said nothing. Theon turned so the captains could see him. The king has returned me freely. Not ransomed. Not exchanged. I come as Balon Greyjoy's living son and lawful heir. Any man who says I was sent back broken may test me. Any man who says I am a wolf may stand close enough to learn what teeth I have. A murmur passed through the gathered Ironborn. Balon's expression remained unreadable, but Theon knew he had shifted something. The captains respected defiance, even when directed at their lord. Robert seized the moment. In the hall, he said, I have ridden through snow, crossed half the realm, and endured a sea determined to shake me from my own ship. I will have an oath, a fire, and something stronger than rainwater to drink. The ceremony took place that evening in Pyke's great hall. No royal banners hung there. Balon had refused them, and Robert, after threatening to nail a stag to every wall, decided the insult amused him. Driftwood burned in iron braziers. The room smelled of salt, damp wool, and smoke. Captains filled the benches. Drowned priests stood beneath pillars blackened by generations of flame. Balon sat the sea-stone chair. Theon had remembered it as a throne shaped by gods. In truth, it was an ugly block of oily stone, carved into a seat whose hard angles seemed designed to punish whoever claimed it. Yet when Balon sat there, the hall bent around him. Robert stood before the dais. Ned remained at his right. Theon knelt alone. Balon rested both hands on the arms of the chair. Theon of House Greyjoy, last living son of my body, returned from wardship in the north. Do you claim the blood of the Grey King? I do. Do you honor the drowned god, who made us to reap where others sow? Theon heard Ned's quiet breathing behind him. He thought of winter wheat, forge smoke, the gods' wood at dusk. He thought of salt on his lips and waves beneath his childhood window. I honor the god of my fathers, he said. It was not the whole answer, but it was not a lie. Balon's gaze sharpened as though he sensed what had been withheld. Will you keep the old way? I will keep our people strong. Several captains shifted at the distinction. Balon leaned forward. That was not my question. No, Theon said. It was mine. The hall went utterly quiet. Robert's laugh began as a low rumble. Even Ned's mouth tightened at one corner. Asha looked openly pleased. For a dangerous moment, Balon seemed ready to reject him. Then his eyes moved across the captains, measuring the room. If he cast Theon out now, it would appear that he feared the son the king had returned. I name you my heir, Balon said at last. After me, the sea-stone chair is yours, if you prove strong enough to sit it. Robert drew a dagger and cut his own palm before anyone could stop him. Blood welled between his fingers. "Your turn," he told Balon. "This is not a Greenland right. It's a king's right tonight." Balon's mouth thinned. He took the dagger, cut his palm, and clasped Robert's bloody hand. Before the captains and priests, he swore that the Iron Islands would keep the king's peace. He swore that Theon would not be harmed, dispossessed, or sent away without judgment before his peers. He swore that no fleet would sail against the north, the Westerlands, or any coast beneath Robert's protection. Robert swore in return that Theon's inheritance would be defended by the Iron Throne, and that Pyke's lawful rights would be respected so long as Balon's oath endured. The words were formal. Their meaning was not. Robert was not merely returning a hostage. He was placing the weight of the crown behind Theon's claim. Afterward came the feast. Robert drank with captains who had once tried to kill him. By midnight he had defeated 3 at arm wrestling, broken a bench, and demanded to hear every song written about his assault on Pyke. Balon retired early in disgust. Ned found Theon on a bridge between towers. The storm had weakened, but the sea still thundered far below. The ropes groaned. Pyke's lamp swayed behind horn panes. "You spoke boldly," Ned said. "Balon would have despised caution. Balon is not the only man you must persuade. No, merely the first." Theon gripped the wet rope. He did not ask whether I had been well. Ned had no gentle answer to that. "He looked at me as though you had sent back the wrong son," Theon continued. "Roderick was his strength. Meryn was his pride. I was the child who survived because I was too young to fight. You survived because Robert allowed it. And because you took me. Yes." Theon looked down into darkness. "Did you ever mean to kill me? If Balon had rebelled again, I would have been bound to answer. That is not what I asked." Ned felt the bridge sway beneath them. "No," he said. "I do not know whether I could have done it." Theon turned, startled by the admission. "A lord should not take a hostage he cannot execute," Ned said. "I knew that when I brought you north. I told myself duty would harden me if the day came. Perhaps it would have. Perhaps that is the worst of it." Theon's face shifted through anger, relief, and something close to grief. "Why send me now?" "Because I saw you beside Robb and understood that every year you remained made the choice crueler. You think I will choose him over my own blood. I think you should learn what your own blood asks of you before the choice is made." Ned removed a small object from beneath his cloak. It was not a weapon or jewel, only a dark iron brooch shaped like a direwolf's head. Theon recognized it as one of the clasps worn by Winterfell's household guards. "I cannot wear this here," he said. "I know. Then why give it to me? So you remember that a man may belong to more than one place without being owned by either." Theon closed his hand around the iron. At dawn, the royal ships departed. Robert shouted farewell from the deck, promising to return if Balon bored him with another rebellion. Ned stood at the rail beside him. Theon watched from the landing with Asha and the captains. As the ships moved into the mist, Ned saw Theon lift one hand. The gesture was smaller than it had been at Winterfell. But this time, Theon did not look like a hostage being carried away. He looked like a man left behind enemy lines. Pyke did not welcome Theon. It tested him. The island tested every step he took, every word he spoke, every garment he wore. Men watched how he held a cup, whether he flinched when waves struck the cliffs, whether he called a ship by the proper name of each timber and sail. Women who had known him as a child asked questions whose answers they already possessed, then smiled when he failed to remember some fisherman's widow or the shape of a cove hidden beneath the eastern rocks. Theon answered mockery with mockery. It was the one language Winterfell and Pyke shared. He discarded the velvet Robert had given him. He wore black wool, seal leather, and a plain sword. He ate salt fish until his stomach ceased protesting. He rose before dawn to row with sailors who resented the softness of his hands and remained until their palms bled beside his. Still, they called him Stark's boy when they thought he could not hear. Balon rarely summoned him except to criticize. "You sit a horse like a Northman. Horses are useful. On ships, not every battle is fought on ships. That is what Greenlanders tell themselves before we arrive. At meals, Balon questioned him about Winterfell as though gathering knowledge of a future enemy. How many men could the castle hold? Which gates were weakest? How long could White Harbor feed an army? How quickly did northern banners gather? Theon answered carefully. When he withheld too much, Balon accused him of divided loyalty. When he revealed anything, he felt he had betrayed men who trusted him. Asha watched these exchanges. With the satisfaction of a spectator at a bear pit. She commanded the Black Wind and had earned loyalty from her crew by deeds Theon knew only through rumor. She could climb a mast in a gale, throw an axe through a moving ring, and drink most captains beneath the table without surrendering control of her tongue. Balon listened to her counsel, though he would not name her heir while Theon lived. She found him one morning inspecting new hulls at Lordsport. "You are touching the wood like a man buying furniture," she said. Theon did not turn. "At Winterfell we built ships from snow." "So I heard. The northern fleet is feared wherever it does not exist." He ran his hand along the unfinished hull. "The planks are too green." Asha's smile lessened. "Who told you?" "The carpenter whose apprentices are pretending not to listen." 3 boys nearby bent quickly over their work. Asha leaned against a post. "You learn fast." "I always did." "No. You performed fast. Learning requires admitting you were ignorant." He looked at her then. "Is this sisterly guidance?" "It is curiosity. I'm trying to decide whether you are useless." "Hey. And? You shoot well." "So I have been told." "Your swordwork is pretty." Also frequently said. "You talk like a man who expects his face to win battles." "It has won several. Against serving girls. Serving girls are more dangerous than most captains." Asha laughed despite herself. "Come aboard." She took him out on the Black Wind without warning Balon. The day was harsh and clear, the sea chopped by a northern wind. Theon had sailed as a child, but memory had not preserved the labor of it. The constant adjustment, the language of rope and sail, the way a deck moved beneath the feet like a living thing. Asha gave orders without shouting. Her crew obeyed before each command was finished. She made Theon work. He hauled lines, climbed rigging, and took the steering oar while the ship cut between rock spires sharp enough to split her belly. Twice he nearly lost his footing. Once a wave broke over the rail and drove him to one knee. No one laughed until he stood. By sunset, his arms shook with exhaustion. Asha gave him a cup of Waterdale. "You did not disgrace yourself. Your praise overwhelms me. You expected affection? I expected you to throw me overboard. I considered it. Father would accuse me of ambition. You have ambition. Of course. Only fools deny hunger when the meat is on the table." Theon looked toward Pyke's towers, black against the dying light. "You think the chair should be yours? I think I have earned more of it than you." "That is not the same thing." "No." She drank. "Blood favors you. Deeds favor me. Father favors whichever of us most resembles the dead." "Nah. The words struck him because they were true. "Roderick and Meryn," he said. "You remember them? Roderick broke my nose when I was 6. Meryn threw me into a well. It was not a well. It contained water and I could not climb out. It was a cistern. My gratitude for the distinction." Asha's expression softened. "They were not kind to you. They were Balon's sons. I was their little brother. None. They were afraid of becoming less important each time Mother gave birth." "Were you?" I learned not to wait for importance to be given. Theon stared into his cup. Out Winterfell, I knew what I was. A hostage. Even when no one said it. And here everyone says what I am, and none agree. Asha nodded toward the horizon. The sea does not care. That is why men love it. It asks whether you can keep your feet, nothing more. In the months that followed, she taught him. Not openly, and never gently. She challenged him before crews, mocked his mistakes, and forced him to answer insult without reaching too quickly for steel. She showed him which captains followed Balon from devotion, and which from fear, which harbors needed repairs, which islands went hungry after long winters. She explained that the old way sounded glorious in halls, because singers did not count widows. Theon, in return, told her about the realm beyond the sea. He described the wealth of the Reach, the roads of the Westerlands, the markets of White Harbor, and the vast traffic moving through King's Landing. He showed her figures copied from Maester Luwin's lessons. The value of ironwood wool, salt fish, worked steel and harbor tolls. Asha stared at the parchment as though it were written in blood. You propose making merchants of us. I propose making us rich. We take wealth, and lose half of it repairing ships and ransoming captains. Trading vessels earn coin every season. Coin is not glory. Neither is hunger. Word spread that Balon's returned son spoke with shipwrights and merchants. Traditional captains sneered. Younger men listened. The islands had known too many failed rebellions, and too many winters when children ate limpets from frozen rocks. Theon commissioned 2 shallow-bellied trading ships using silver Robert had given him for his household. Balon called them shameful. 6 months later, they returned from Old Town with grain, lamp oil, and a profit large enough to repair a storm-damaged quay at Lordsport. Men stopped laughing quite so loudly. Then the raven came from King's Landing. Robert Baratheon was dead. The message arrived at dusk, sealed with the crowned stag and written in the dry, formal hand of the royal chancery. The king had been wounded by a boar while hunting and succumbed after naming Eddard Stark protector of the realm. Joffrey had ascended the Iron Throne. All lords were commanded to renew their fealty. Balon read the letter twice. Theon stood opposite the sea-stone chair. Asha waited near a pillar. Euron whispered prayers beneath his breath. A boar, Balon said. The word carried contempt, disbelief, and opportunity. Theon felt as though one of Pyke's bridges had vanished beneath his feet. Robert had seemed too immense to die by accident. He had been the roaring force that carried Theon home, the seal upon Balon's oath, the living threat behind every promise made in the hall. Now he was meat in a royal tomb. There will be another letter, Theon said. Lord Eddard was named Protector. Balon's eyes rose. Lord Eddard, the king's hand, the wolf who stole you, the man Robert trusted. Balon crushed the parchment in one fist. Robert's promises died with him. Oaths do not die with the men who hear them. Euron looked at Theon with cold pity. Greenland oaths, perhaps. Your god heard Balon swear. The priests shifted. Balon's face darkened. Asha intervened. The realm may not accept the boy king. We should learn more before choosing what Robert's death means. Balon looked from daughter to son. It means the stag is gone. The lions rule through his cub. The wolf sits in their den. Every lord will watch every other lord and wonder which throat to cut. That is why we remain still, Theon said. That is why we sharpen our axes. 3 days later came a private message from Robb. It was short, written in haste. Bran had woken but remembered little of his fall. Catelyn had gone south. Ned believed Robert's children were not truly Robert's. The Queen had moved against him. Robb did not know what would happen. At the bottom, in a line squeezed beneath the rest, he had written, I wish you were here. Theon read those words until the ink blurred. The next raven arrived bloodied from the journey. Eddard Stark had been arrested for treason. Joffrey sat the throne. Cersei ruled in his name. Stark guards had been killed in the Red Keep. Sansa was confined. Arya was missing. Balon summoned his captains. Theon entered the hall to find a map spread across a long table. Stones marked Deepwood Motte, Moat Cailin, Torrens Square, and the Stony Shore. No stones marked Lannisport. His father stood over the north like a man choosing where to place a knife. "The wolf has lost its head," Balon said. "His heir is a green boy. His banners will march south. His castles will stand empty." Theon looked at Asha. Her face revealed nothing. "You swore not to attack the north," he said. "To a dead king. You swore before the drowned god." "I swore to keep Robert's peace. Robert has no peace now." Theon placed Robb's letter on the table. "The Lannisters killed the king and seized his hand. Then the wolf was a fool. He was the man who spared you." Balon swept the letter aside. "He took my son and returned him strong enough to tell you when you were wrong." Silence spread through the hall. Balon leaned across the map. "Careful." Theon met his eyes. "The north is poor. Its western shores hold fishing villages and timber keeps. The Westerlands hold gold, cattle, grain, and ports. If the lions rule the throne, strike the lions. Now." Several younger captains murmured agreement. Balon's mouth twisted. "You would fight for the Starks. I would fight where victory pays. You would carry the Wolf's war across our sea. I would make their war serve us." Asha stepped toward the table. "He is not wrong about the wealth." Balon turned on her. "You too. I have raided the northern coast. I brought home goats and damp wool. A single Lannister merchantman carries more silver than 3 northern villages. Names. The west has walls. The west has men marching east," Theon said. "Tywin Lannister is fighting in the Riverlands. His fleet guards Lannisport, but fleets can be drawn. Harbors watched, supply ships taken. We need not assault the rock to bleed it." Balon stared at the map. For an instant, Theon believed reason might prevail. Then his father swept every western marker from the table and placed his dagger through the painted wolf of Winterfell. "We do not bleed lions for wolves," Balon said. "We take back what the Starks denied us." Theon looked at the dagger trembling in the wood. Something became clear to him then. Balon did not want victory as much as he wanted revenge shaped like victory. The North could offer neither wealth nor lasting power, but it carried Ned Stark's name. That was enough. Theon glanced at Asha. Her eyes held the same realization. Balon began naming commands. Victarion would gather the Iron Fleet. Asha would prepare 30 longships. Theon would remain on Pyke. "Remain?" Theon asked. "You have been home less than a year. I am your heir. You are untested. Then give me ships. I will not place Ironborn lives beneath a wolf-raised boy." The captains watched them. Theon felt humiliation burn through him, but beneath it came something colder. Balon had accepted him because Robert forced the choice. He had never intended to let him earn the position publicly. He would send Asha and Victarion to win glory while Theon waited, isolated, until his claim became a jest. Ned had sent him home to choose. Balon had just made the choice unavoidable. That night, Theon met Asha aboard the Black Wind. Rain whispered against the deck. No lamps burned. "If he sails north," Theon said, "Robb will never forgive us." Asha leaned against the mast. "Are you asking whether I fear Robb Stark's displeasure? I am asking whether you wish to inherit a kingdom of rocks after father spends every strong man conquering sheep. You assume there will be a kingdom to inherit. You assume he will let you inherit it." Her face hardened. Theon stepped closer. "He will use you because you are able and deny you because you are a woman. He will deny me because I lived too long among wolves. Neither of us can satisfy a dead son's memory. Me and I. What do you propose?" "The Western campaign." He refused. "The captains need not." Asha studied him in the dark. "That is treason. So was Balon's crown. He is our father." "Yes." Theon let the words stand between them. Below, Blackwater struck the hull in slow, heavy blows. "At Winterfell," he said, "I thought blood was the strongest chain in the world. Here I have learned it is only the first." Asha's gaze moved toward Pyke's towers. "How many captains?" she asked. "Enough to begin. Not enough to win." "Then help me." Asha was silent for a long time. At last, she held out her hand. Theon clasped it. Two children of Balon Greyjoy stood upon a darkened ship and agreed to save their father's kingdom from the war he desired. The first ship departed against Balon's orders 6 nights later. She was a narrow raider called the Foam Drinker, captained by Harlan Weaver, a man of 30 whose father had frozen during Balon's first rebellion, and whose elder brother had drowned during the second. Balon had given his family songs. Theon had helped repair their quay. The Foam Drinker sailed south with sealed instructions and no banners. 2 more followed before dawn. By the end of the week, 12 longships had slipped from separate islands under excuses of fishing, patrol, or trade. They gathered beyond sight of Pyke, where Asha waited aboard the Black Wind. Theon remained in the castle. He ate at Balon's table, attended councils, and listened while his father planned the ruin of the North. Victarion had gone to assemble the Iron Fleet at Great Pyke. Euron traveled among the drowned men, preaching that the islands had endured beneath Greenland chains long enough. Balon believed momentum was gathering around him. It was, though not in the direction he thought. Theon had learned conspiracy from no single teacher. At Winterfell, Ned had shown him the value of saying only what must be said. Robb had taught him which young lords resented being dismissed by old ones. Maester Luwin had taught him that grain, timber, and distance could decide wars before swords were drawn. Tyrion Lannister, during a single night of drinking on the road from Winterfell, had remarked that men guarding against daggers often failed to notice who controlled their supper. Pyke's garrison ate from stores purchased with Theon's trading silver. Its smiths owed him payment. Its harbor master's youngest son served aboard one of Asha's ships. The guards at the rope bridges had spent months hearing that Balon meant to send them north for plunder scarcely worth carrying home. Theon did not buy their loyalty. He gave their doubts a place to gather. The raven from Robb arrived before the plan was ready. Theon opened it alone. Ned Stark had confessed to treason before the great Sept of Baelor. The confession had been forced, Robb believed, in exchange for mercy and exile to the Wall. Joffrey had ordered his execution instead. For some time, Theon heard nothing but the sea beneath his window. He sat on the edge of his bed with the parchment in one hand and the iron direwolf clasp in the other. He remembered Ned in the yard correcting Robb's grip. Ned at supper asking whether Theon had written to his mother. Ned on Pyke's bridge admitting he did not know whether he could have killed the hostage entrusted to him. The man had never called Theon's son. Theon had spent years pretending that did not matter. He bent forward until his forehead touched his fists. No tears came at first. When they did, he hated them. Then hated Balon for teaching him to hate them. Then hated himself for thinking of Balon while grieving another father. A knock sounded. Asha entered without waiting. She saw his face and closed the door behind her. What happened? Theon gave her the letter. She read it. "I am sorry." He laughed once, a broken sound. "Are you?" "Yes. You barely knew him." "I know what he was to you." Theon stood abruptly. "Do not say it." "What? What?" "That he was a father." "I was going to say he was home." That silenced him. Asha placed the letter on the table. "Balon's council meets at sunset. Victarion returned early. The Iron Fleet is ready. Then, we move tonight. We planned 3 more days." Joffrey did not give Ned 3 more days. Anger is not a plan. No, it is the reason plans are used. At sunset, Balon's captains entered the Great Hall expecting commands for war. 30 came. 12 were loyal to Theon and Asha. 7 more had agreed to remain neutral if no blood was shed. Victarion stood beside the sea-stone chair in mail and boiled leather, his heavy hands folded over the haft of his axe. Euron occupied the place of honor among the priests. Theon arrived last. Balon watched him cross the hall. "You were not summoned. I am your heir. You are my son. Do not mistake the two." The doors closed behind Theon. The sound echoed. Balon looked toward them. 4 young captains had placed themselves before the exits. Victarion's grip tightened on his axe. "What is this?" "A council," Theon said. Balon rose from the sea-stone chair. "Open the doors." No one moved. His face changed slowly as he counted loyalties. Euron stepped forward. "This hall is sacred." "So are oaths," Theon answered. "You speak of the Stag King's chains. I speak of the drowned god hearing Balon swear peace." Balon descended from the dais. "You dare." Theon held his ground. Every instinct urged him to reach for his sword. He kept his hands visible. "I begged you to strike west. You begged me to fight the Wolf's War. I offered you wealth and victory. You chose empty keeps because you cannot forgive a dead man." Balon moved with startling speed. His fist struck Theon across the mouth. Theon staggered, tasted blood, and straightened. Several captains drew steel. Asha raised one hand sharply. "No blades," she ordered. Balon stared at the blood on Theon's lip. "You return in a king's cloak, preach trade like an old-town woman, and now bar your father's hall. Stark should have cut off your head. Eddard Stark is dead." The hall shifted. Some had heard rumors, others had not. "The boy king murdered him after promising mercy," Theon continued. "The lions broke the king's peace. If we strike the north now, we become their servants whether we admit it or not." "No need. We serve no one. Then why do exactly what Tywin Lannister would ask?" Balon's nostrils flared. Theon turned to the captains. "The northern armies are marching into the Riverlands. Every keep we take behind them helps the Iron Throne. We will spend Ironborn blood securing Joffrey's crown, and return with pinewood turnips, and the hatred of men who might have stood beside us." A captain from Saltcliff called, "What do you offer instead?" "The West. Merchant shipping from Lannisport died on. The coasts of Casey and the Banefort. Fair Isle if we can hold it. Gold, grain, cattle, steel." "No, yeah. And the fleet at Lannisport?" another asked. "Asha will draw it south. Our hidden ships already watch its movements." Balon turned toward his daughter. "You have ships at sea?" "Yes." "Under whose command?" "Mine." "You conspire with him." "I conspire for the islands." Balon looked at Victarion. "Brother?" Victarion had not moved. Conflict was visible in his broad, hard face. He loved Balon, obeyed strength, distrusted cleverness, and understood better than most what civil war would cost. "Order them to stand aside," Balon said. Victarion looked at Theon. "Will you harm him?" "No." "Will you take the chair?" "No." Balon laughed harshly. "Hear him lie." Theon faced the captains. "Balon remains Lord of the Iron Islands. But until the war in the Green Lands is settled, the fleet will not sail north. A council of captains will approve all campaigns. I will lead the western raids. Asha will command at sea. Victarion will retain the Iron Fleet. You would cage me in my own castle," Balon said. "I would prevent you from destroying what we inherit." Euron's voice rose. "No son may bind his father without being cursed before gods and men." Theon looked at the priest. "And what curse follows a father who would waste his children to avenge his pride?" Euron had no immediate answer. Balon reached for the dagger at his belt. Victarion stepped between them. It was a simple movement, but it decided the hall. Balon stared at his brother. "You too?" "I will not see Ironborn kill Ironborn while lions feast," Victarion said. The boy's plan has sense. The boy. Victarion's jaw tightened. Your heir. Balon seemed to age before them. Not weaken. There was too much hatred in him for weakness. But shrink into the outline of the man Theon had first seen from the royal galley. Lean, weathered, sustained by grievance. You think ships make you rulers, Balon said to his children. You think captains cheering tonight will love you when storms come. They loved me once. No, Asha said softly. They followed you. Balon looked at her as though she had struck him harder than Theon's defiance. The coup ended without blood. Balon was not placed in a cell. That would have divided the islands beyond repair. He remained in his chambers under guards chosen by Victarion, and was allowed to receive priests, servants, and captains who came unarmed. Officially, illness had forced him to yield command of the fleet temporarily to his heirs. No one believed it. By midnight, Pyke knew. By dawn, every island did. Euron left the castle before sunrise. Theon allowed him to go despite Asha's warning. He will preach against us, she said. If we imprison a priest for speaking, we prove every word. He could raise the islands. Then we will answer him. You sound like Stark. Theon looked toward the sea. Today, I will take that as praise. 3 days later, Theon boarded his first command. The sea bitch had belonged to his uncle Euron before the man vanished east years ago. Her hull was long and black, her sail dark red. Some called it ill fortune to take an absent man's ship. Theon called it efficient. 40 vessels waited beyond Lordsport. Men crowded at the rails. Axes gleamed. Shields bore krakens, scythes, bones, and drowned men. Asha's black wind held the seaward flank. Victarion's heavier ships remained behind to guard the islands and restrain Balon's loyalists. Theon stood beneath his banner, a golden kraken on black, with no wolf beside it. He addressed the captains from the deck. We do not sail for Robb Stark, he told them. We do not sail for Joffrey Baratheon. We sail because the richest coast in the realm believes us divided, backward, and afraid. Let the lions learn what mistake they made. Axes struck shields. The sound spread from ship to ship until the water itself seemed to tremble. Theon turned south. As Pyke disappeared behind them, he touched the iron direwolf hidden beneath his armor. Then he gave the order to raise sail. The first Lannister ship surrendered without a fight. She was a broad-bellied supply cog sailing north from Lannisport with flour, arrows, lamp oil, salted beef, and 2 chests of silver intended for garrisons along the coast. Her captain saw 40 dark sails appear from morning mist and ordered his banner lowered before Theon's grappling hook struck wood. The Ironborn jeered. Theon did not. He boarded wearing mail beneath boiled leather, his hair bound back against the wind. The merchant crew knelt with hands on their heads. Several were boys. One older sailor had pissed himself. A captain named Lenwood Tawny lifted his axe. No blood price without blood. Theon caught the haft. Tawny stared at him. They are lions. They are sailors. They carried arms against us. They carried flour. Laughter rose from nearby Ironborn. Tawny's face reddened. Theon released the axe. Take the cargo. Strip the ship of weapons. The crew may sail east in their boats. Why? Because when they reach shore, they will tell every merchant from Lannisport to Old Town that surrendering to us preserves his life. The next ship will yield faster. Tawny looked unconvinced. Asha, crossing from the black wind, heard the exchange. And the ship after that, she added. Dead men spread no fear beyond the gulls. The crew was released. Within 2 weeks, 9 merchantmen had surrendered. 2 resisted and were taken by force. Theon divided plunder openly by written shares. Captains complained about writing until they saw lesser men unable to steal from them, and greater men unable to claim more than agreed. The western sea lanes began to empty. Then Asha drew the Lannister patrols south. She sent 3 fast ships to show themselves near Crackahall, burning beacon towers and seizing a customs vessel before fleeing. 6 Lannister galleys pursued. Asha led them past hidden reefs at dusk, where two struck stone and a third lost its steering oar. Ironborn ships emerged from narrow coves and boarded the survivors. Theon struck farther north. He took Casey's outer harbor after midnight, not by storming its walls, but by bribing a fisherman whose sons had been pressed into Lannister service. The harbor chain was lowered. The sea bitch entered beneath silent oars. By sunrise, warehouses were burning and 3 war galleys had been captured at anchor. Theon forbade attacks on houses beyond the docks. Some captains disobeyed. He hanged 2. That nearly ended his command. The old way granted a raider what he could seize. Men did not sail across Blackwater to be told which doors they might break. Yet, Theon understood what Balon had never learned. Terror without control created enemies faster than victories could silence them. He gathered the captains before the smoking harbor. "We can take pigs and daughters from every village," he said, "and leave 10,000 men praying for our deaths. Or we can take Lord Tywin's ships, his taxes, his grain, and leave those same men wondering whether the lion ever protected them." A captain shouted, "You shame us for Greenlanders! I hang men who ignore my command. You think yourself king? No, I think myself close enough to cut out your tongue if you ask again." The challenge ended there. The raids became a campaign. Theon sent grain north to Seaguard with a letter for Robb. He sent captured silver through merchants who traded under neutral colors, using the proceeds to purchase timber and pitch for the islands. Asha occupied a small harbor on the western shore. Of Fair Isle long enough to destroy its fleet stores, then withdrew before the island's levies could trap her. Their victories were not the sweeping conquests promised in songs. They were smaller and more damaging. Every burned warehouse required guards. Every captured ship weakened Lannisport. Every missing cargo forced Tywin to choose between feeding his armies and defending his home. The first response came from the Banefort. Lord Banefort offered gold for a truce protecting fishing villages and merchant traffic north of his castle. Theon accepted for 30 days and used the payment to hire informants inside Lannisport. Traditional captains called it cowardice. Then they counted the gold. Far inland, Tywin Lannister received the news beneath the canvas roof of his command pavilion. Rain drummed above a table covered in maps of the Riverlands. Sir Kevan stood at his brother's side. Messengers waded with mud to their knees. Tywin read the report without visible anger. That frightened the messenger more than shouting would have. "How many ships?" he asked. "Reports differ, my lord. 40 at first, perhaps 60 now. Greyjoy banners?" "Yes." "Balon?" "The commands are said to come from his son." Tywin looked up. "The hostage, returned by King Robert." "I remember." Kevan studied the western coast on the map. "Lannisport retains enough galleys to defend the harbor." "To defend it," Tywin said. "Not to protect every cargo between the Arbor and Fair Isle. We could send riders west and weaken our position here while Robb Stark moves through the Riverlands." The name darkened the tent. Robb had crossed at the Twins after bargaining with Lord Walder Frey, divided his army, and taken Jaime Lannister in the Whispering Wood. The young wolf's victories had transformed rebellion into war. Now the Ironborn were cutting Tywin's sea roads. "The Greyjoy boy coordinates with Stark," Kevan said. "Of course he does. Balon hates the North. Balon is either dead, restrained, or more foolish than I judged. None assists us." Tywin moved a golden lion marker westward, then stopped. Every soldier sent to the coast was one fewer before River Run. Every galley recalled to Lannisport surrendered the sea lanes beyond it. Every month of disruption raised prices in the Westerlands and weakened confidence among lesser lords. It was not defeat. It was pressure. applied where Tywin could not ignore it. "Send word to Cersei," he said. "The royal fleet must patrol the Sunset Sea." Kevan hesitated. "Stannis Baratheon gathers ships at Dragonstone. Then she must decide which enemy she prefers near her throat." In King's Landing, Cersei read her father's request and burned it. Joffrey had grown restless on the throne. He ordered singers punished for mournful songs, demanded executions after poor meals, and asked daily when his grandfather would bring him Robb Stark's head. Sansa remained a hostage beneath silk. Arya had vanished into the city. The royal fleet could not be sent west. Stannis waited across Blackwater Bay. Renly had crowned himself with the wealth of Highgarden behind him. The capital was filling with frightened refugees and rumors. Tyrion, newly appointed hand in Tywin's absence, studied the same report more carefully. "Theon Greyjoy," he murmured. Cersei poured wine. "You met him at Winterfell." "I did." "Was he clever?" "He tried very hard to appear so." "That is not an answer." "It rarely is." Tyrion looked toward the window, where the city spread beneath a haze of smoke. He remembered Theon's easy insults, the hunger beneath them, the way he had watched the Stark children as though love were another feast from which he might be removed. "Ned Stark sent him home before there was a war," Tyrion said. And our father now fights two of Stark's sons instead of one." Cersei's eyes narrowed. "Greyjoy is no Stark." "No," Tyrion said. "That may make him more dangerous." The grain ships from the west ceased arriving. Prices rose. Stannis gathered strength. Tywin remained trapped between Robb's army and the need to protect his homeland. Then Theon received word that Robb had been crowned king in the north. The news reached him aboard the Sea Bitch while they sheltered in a cove north of Faircastle. Rain fell through gray afternoon light. Theon read the message twice. The Northern Lords had placed a crown in Robb's hands at River Run. The River Lords had joined them. They named him King of the North and the Trident. A second parchment bore Robb's own writing. "You warned me Balon meant to strike us. You turned his ships instead. My mother says I should not trust too quickly, but she does not forbid me from thanking you. If you still remember the Godswood, meet my envoys at Seaguard. We have much to decide." Asha read over his shoulder. "A king now," she said. "He never wanted it. Men who want crowns are rarely the ones who should wear them." Theon folded the letter. "Balon wanted one." "Yes." "Do you think I do?" Asha considered him. "You want men to know they were wrong about you. That is not a crown. It can become one." The meeting at Seaguard nearly began with blood. Jason Mallister had fought Ironborn all his life. His son had died during Balon's rebellion. When Theon's ships approached beneath banners of truce, scorpions were loaded along the walls, and archers filled the towers. Theon came ashore with 6 companions. Meg Mormont waited in the gatehouse as Robb's representative, broad and hard-faced beneath a bearskin cloak. The Greatjon stood beside her, huge enough to make the chamber seem small. Catelyn Stark had come as well. She looked at Theon without warmth. He bowed. "My lady, you have changed your clothes," she said. Pyke objected to the fur. The Greatjon laughed. Mage did not. Catelyn's gaze moved to the kraken clasp at his throat. "Balon is not with you. He is confined to Pyke. You imprisoned your father. I stopped him from invading your home. Robb believes that makes you our ally. What do you believe? That you have always wanted a place where men would call you important." Theon absorbed the blow. It was not false, which made it sharper. "I did," he said. "Then Joffrey killed the man who gave me one without making me beg." Catelyn's expression shifted. Theon placed a sealed treaty on the table. "The Iron Islands will continue attacks against Lannister shipping and coastal holdings. We will send grain taken from the west to the Riverlands at agreed prices. In return, the North and Trident recognize me as Prince Regent and lawful heir of Pyke while Balon lives. Neither realm claims lordship over the other. We exchange hostages of rank, not children. Adults who volunteer and are treated as honored guests." The Greyjoy frowned. No king. No king. Balon wore a crown. Balon lost it. Meg opened the treaty. And when he dies, the captains will choose whether to follow me or your sister, Catelyn said. Asha commands beside me. You trust her? With ships, yes. With my wine, no. A reluctant hint of amusement touched Meg's face. Catelyn remained serious. Robb may accept an alliance. He will not forget what your people have done to our shores. Nor will mine forget Seaguard stones falling on their fathers. Then why should this last? Because forgetting is not required, only choosing which hatred costs more. Catelyn studied him for a long time. You sound like Ned, she said at last. Theon looked away. When the treaty was signed, no songs were sung. No cups were raised. Mallister men watched Ironborn hands with suspicion. Ironborn watched the walls and remembered kin who died beneath them. But seals were pressed into wax. The wolf and kraken went to war together. And for the first time since Aegon's conquest, the Iron Islands sailed not against an isolated coast, but as one arm of a larger realm. Theon entered Riverrun through a gate guarded by men whose fathers had fought his. No one cheered. Northern and Riverland soldiers lined the yard, watching the Ironborn delegation cross wet cobbles beneath the golden kraken. Some spat. Others touched sword hilts. Theon recognized the looks because he had worn one himself whenever wildlings were mentioned at Winterfell. Asha walked beside him. Charming welcome. You wanted flowers. I would settle for fewer crossbows. At the far end of the yard, Robb waited beneath the direwolf banner. He had changed. Theon had expected the boy he left at Winterfell, perhaps wearing a crown too large for him. Instead, he saw a young man made leaner by command, his face solemn beneath auburn hair. Grey Wind stood at his side, enormous and silent. Around them gathered the Greyjoy, Edmure Tully, Brynden Blackfish, Roose Bolton, and a score of lesser lords. Catelyn watched from the steps. Theon stopped before Robb. For a moment, neither knew whether to embrace. Kings and princes did not embrace before suspicious armies. Hostages and brothers did. Robb solved the problem by stepping forward and gripping Theon's forearm. You took your time. The sea is large. You always claimed it belonged to you. I discovered it disagrees. Robb's mouth curved. Then he looked at Asha. Theon wrote that you command half his victories. Only half? She asked. The modest half, Theon said. Robb welcomed her formally and led them into council. The map beneath Riverrun's solar windows showed a war transformed by ships hundreds of leagues away. Tywin's main army had abandoned its drive toward the Riverlands and turned southwest to secure routes into the Westerlands. Garrisons once intended to reinforce King's Landing had been recalled to Lannisport. Grain convoys moved only under heavy escort. Stannis Baratheon prepared to attack the capital. The Lions faced 3 wars, Robb said. Ours, Stannis's, and yours. Ours is cheaper, Asha replied. That is why it hurts them. Brynden Blackfish pointed to the coast. Can you take Lannisport? No, Theon said. Several lords exchanged glances, surprised by the admission. Not by storm, he continued. Its walls are strong, its harbor chained, and the remaining fleet fights beneath scorpions mounted on towers. We can blockade loosely, seize ships before they enter, and force Tywin to keep men there. Could you land an army north of the city? Robb asked. An army, yes. Feed it, no. The Greyjoy grunted. The West feeds it. After harvest, perhaps, while every lion between the coast and the rock hunts us. Robb studied the map. DRC. He had learned caution through victory rather than defeat, a rarer education. Our best course is to keep Tywin divided, Theon said. Strike mines, roads, and ports. Make him chase ships with horsemen. If he turns east, we raid deeper. If he turns west, you take ground in the Riverlands. Roose Bolton spoke for the first time. His voice was soft, his eyes paler than the daylight at the window. A useful arrangement. Each wolf expects the kraken to draw the spear. Theon met his gaze. He had never liked Bolton. As a boy, he had seen the flayed man banner at Winterfell and thought it uglier than any threat. Now he saw the man behind it and understood the banner was honest. Only a fool catches a spear meant for someone else, Theon said. A wise ally ensures it cannot be thrown twice. Roos's lips moved in something not quite a smile. The council agreed on coordinated strikes. Robb would move west through the Golden Tooth's lesser passes, threatening mines and castles. Theon's ships would land raiding forces along the coast and destroy supply depots. Asha would continue to harry Lannister shipping while preventing any relief fleet from leaving Lannisport unnoticed. The campaign began within a fortnight. Theon fought beside Robb for the first time since boyhood. They descended upon a Lannister column near Ashmark, northern riders striking from wooded hills, while Ironborn emerged behind the wagons. The battle lasted less than an hour. Theon's men seized food, armor, and correspondence. Robb released common soldiers after taking their weapons, following the same policy Theon used at sea. Afterward, they camped beneath cold rain. For a single evening, with crowns and titles set aside, they sat beside a small fire as they once had after hunting in the Wolfswood. Robb turned Ned's iron clasp in his hand. Theon had shown it to him reluctantly. "He gave you this?" "On Pyke. He never gave me one. You already had a wolf." Robb looked into the flames. "I think of what I would have said if I had reached King's Landing in time. You would have died. I might have saved him. You might have died beside him. At least he would not have been alone." Theon thought of Ned kneeling before Joffrey's sword, believing Sansa would be spared. "He was not alone," he said. "Every man who knew what he was watched. Even those who cheered knew. That did not save him. No." Robb's hand closed around the clasp. "My mother says vengeance is not a kingdom. She is right. You sound disappointed. I want..." her to be wrong about something. Robb laughed softly, then became serious. Balon still lives. Yes. And hates this alliance. Yes. What happens if he escapes? I bring him back. And if he commands your captains to turn north? Theon watched sparks rise into the rain. Then I learn whether they follow my victories or his ghosts. Far to the east, the Battle of the Blackwater began beneath a moonless sky. Stannis' fleet entered the bay expecting resistance from fewer ships than he possessed. Tyrion had prepared chains, wildfire, archers, and every desperate advantage available to a city whose armies were elsewhere. The green fire destroyed scores of vessels. But Tywin did not arrive. In another history, the Lord of Casterly Rock might have turned east in time, joined the armies of the Reach, and struck Stannis at the city's edge. In this one, Tywin had marched west after Theon's forces burned storehouses near the mouth of the Mander, and rumors spread that Lannisport itself would be attacked. The Tyrell host came without him. Its commanders found the roads clogged with refugees and deserters. Renly's ghost was used to terrify Stannis' men, but fewer broke than expected. Stannis had spent a lifetime enduring what others could not. He drove survivors against the gates. Tyrion led a sortie and was nearly killed by one of his own Kingsguard. The Mud Gate fell before dawn. Joffrey fled to the Red Keep at Cersei's command. Gold Cloaks abandoned walls. Flea Bottom rose in riot. The Tyrell army attacked Stannis from the south but lacked Tywin's discipline and knowledge of the city's defenses. For 2 days, King's Landing burned. On the third, Stannis Baratheon entered the throne room. Joffrey sat upon the Iron Throne with Sir Meryn Trant, the Hound, and fewer than 20 guards around him. Cersei stood below with Tommen. Sansa had been hidden by servants loyal to Tyrion. Myrcella was in Dorne. Stannis' armor was blackened by smoke. Blood ran from a cut above one eye. Joffrey tried to command his arrest. No one moved. Cersei stepped before her son. "He is the rightful king. He is abomination born of incest," Stannis said. "You have no proof. I have a city." The Hound threw down his sword. The remaining guards followed. Joffrey was taken alive. Cersei attempted to poison Tommen and herself before capture. A servant knocked the cup from her hand. Tyrion was found unconscious beneath a pile of dead men outside the walls. He awoke as Stannis' prisoner and laughed when told who had won. The Iron Throne changed hands. Across the realm, ravens carried the news. Tywin received it while camped 2 days east of Lannisport. He read the letter once, then dismissed everyone except Kevan. "My grandson?" Kevan asked. "Alive. Imprisoned. Cersei? Alive. Tyrion? Alive?" Kevan released a breath. Tywin looked west, where smoke from an Ironborn raid stained the horizon. Theon Greyjoy had not defeated him in battle. He had done something Tywin considered more offensive. He had forced him to choose wrongly. At River Run, the news divided Robb's council. Some lords urged immediate peace. Stannis was Robert's lawful heir if Joffrey was false. Others argued that the North had already crowned its king and would not kneel again. River lords feared Stannis would demand obedience and punish those who refused. Theon read the proclamation Stannis sent to every castle. All lords were commanded to swear fealty. Robb Stark was named a rebel. Balon Greyjoy's prior oath to Robert was declared binding upon his heirs. Theon was ordered to release his father, cease unlawful raids, and present himself for judgment. Asha looked over his shoulder. He knows how to make friends. He knows how to issue commands. Robb entered the solar. "What will you do?" Theon placed the parchment on the table. "Robert returned me to Pyke," he said. "Stannis would return me to chains. He is the lawful king of the Iron Throne." Robb's eyes held his. "Not yours." Theon thought of Balon's crown, Robert's bloody hand, Ned's silence, and the captains who followed because he had offered them more than vengeance. "No," he said. "Not mine." Robb nodded slowly. Outside, Northern and Ironborn banners snapped in the same wind. Their war against the Lions was no longer the only war. Balon escaped on the night Stannis took King's Landing. The guards outside his chambers were found alive, bound with strips of bedsheet, and too ashamed to explain how an old man had surprised them. A fishing boat vanished from a cove beneath Pyke. By the time Theon's riders reached Lordsport, Balon had crossed to Great Wyke. Euron received him before hundreds of drowned men. The priest proclaimed that the drowned god had broken the chains placed upon Balon by faithless children. Ravens flew to every island. Captains were commanded to gather. The Northern Alliance was denounced as slavery dressed in profit. Theon was still in the Riverlands. Asha sent the warning by 3 ravens and 1 ship, fearing the birds might be taken. Her message reached him at Seaguard, while Robb prepared to answer Stannis. "Come home. Father calls the islands. Euron names us wolf servants." Victarion hesitates. "Come before men choose for us." Theon left that night. Robb met him in the yard beneath torchlight. "You need ships?" Robb asked. "I need speed." "You can take Mallister galleys." "Jason Mallister would rather lend me his daughter." "He has no daughter." "Exactly." Robb gripped his shoulder. "What if the islands turn against you? Then keep men along the western coast." "That is not what I asked." Theon forced a smile. "I know." Catelyn approached carrying a fur-lined cloak. "The sea will be cold." He accepted it. Their relationship had remained wary, but the old hostility had thinned. Catelyn had watched Ironborn grain feed Riverland villages. She had seen Theon fight beside Robb and refuse easy cruelties. "Balon may force you to choose between your blood and everything you have built," she said. "He has done little else since I returned. Do not let anger choose for you." "My lady, anger chose me years ago." Then, disappointed, Theon sailed west. He reached Pyke to find the castle divided. Balon's banner flew from 2 towers, Theon's from 1, and Asha's men controlled the harbor. No one had attacked. Every household waited to see which side moved first. Asha met him on the landing. "You look terrible," she said. "I crossed in a storm. You always blame the sea for your face." "Where is he?" "Old Wake. Euron calls a Kingsmoot." "A Kingsmoot? Balon lives." "Not according to the priests." Theon stared at her. Asha's humor vanished. His boat was found smashed beneath Naga's hill this morning. His body? Not found. The words opened a hollow space within him. Theon had imagined confronting Balon. He had rehearsed accusations, bargains, even apologies he did not know whether he meant. He had feared having to imprison his father again, feared killing him, feared yielding. He had never imagined the sea deciding first. "Was it the storm?" he asked. "Perhaps." The answer told him she doubted it. Balon's death changed everything. Theon was the named heir, recognized before Robert and the captains. But Euron declared that the Seastone chair could not pass to a man who had chained his father and served a northern king. He invoked ancient custom. When succession was disputed, the captains would choose at a Kingsmoot. Victarion claimed command by strength and blood. Asha claimed it by deeds. Theon claimed it by law, victory, and the future he had begun building. Then Euron returned. His ship entered Lordsport beneath a red dusk, sails black, hull dark as dried blood. The silence carried men from eastern lands, strange weapons, chests of spice, silk, and jewels. Its crew had no tongues. At the prow stood the Uncle Theon, remembered only as a smiling shadow who visited Pyke between long absences. Euron wore an eye patch and a cloak of black feathers. His uncovered eye was blue enough to seem unnatural. He embraced Theon before the gathered crowd. "My little nephew," he said. "The wolves returned you with all your fingers." Theon did not return the embrace. "Where were you when Balon rebelled?" "Far from his failure." "Where were you when Robert came?" "Far from his peace." "And now you arrive when he is dead." Euron smiled. "The sea carries a man where he is needed." Asha stood at Theon's left, or where the knives have finished their work. The smile remained, but Euron's eye changed. Rumors spread by nightfall. Euron had murdered Balon. Euron had been summoned by Euron. Euron possessed magic from Valyria. Euron had chests of gold enough to buy every captain. Euron would conquer the Reach, seize dragons, and place the Iron Islands above every kingdom. Theon met Victarion in a tower overlooking the harbor. His uncle stood beside an arrow slit, shoulders filling the stone frame. "You know Euron killed him," Theon said. "I know nothing." "You hate him." Victarion's jaw moved. "Hatred is not proof." He returned the day Balon fell. "The storm killed Balon." "Did the storm send a ship to wait beneath the bridge?" Victarion turned. "Careful." "Of Euron?" "Of accusing blood without witness." Theon laughed bitterly. "Balon accused me of becoming a Stark. Now you sound like Ned." Victarion disliked that comparison. "What will you claim at the Kingsmoot?" Theon asked. "The chair." "To do what?" "Make the islands feared." "They are feared. Then respected. We have gold, repaired harbors, grain stores, and influence over a war that has shaken the realm. Is that not respect? It is counting house talk. It keeps children fed. We are Ironborn." Theon stepped closer. "And what does that mean when there is nothing left to steal? Euron will promise you the world because he has no intention of paying the men who die taking it." Victarion's expression hardened. "You fear he will win. I fear the islands will believe him." Naga's hill filled before dawn. Thousands gathered beneath storm clouds. Captains, priests, fishermen, thralls, shipwrights, wives, widows, and warriors from every island. The bones of Naga's ribs rose from the ground like the remains of some ancient beast. Salt wind whipped cloaks and banners. Euron stood upon a platform of driftwood. "No man here wears a crown," he proclaimed. "No Greenland king chooses our lord. No father's promise binds the free captains after death. Let each claimant speak. Let each offer gifts. Let the drowned god reveal the strongest." Victarion spoke first. He promised war, discipline, and the restoration of honor. Men respected his strength. His gifts were weapons taken in battle and silver from past raids. Asha followed. She promised land and wealth in the west, not empty northern conquest. She named the victories she had won, and mocked men who feared a woman's command after following weaker men for years. Her supporters shouted until the hills shook. Euron came third. He opened chests of gold, gemstones, silk, and armor from lands most had never seen. He spoke of conquering the Reach, taking Old Town, and binding dragons to his will. He produced a great black horn banded with red gold, claiming it could command beasts born of fire. The horn was blown. Its sound rolled across the hill like a living thing. Men covered their ears. One of Euron's tongueless crew collapsed with blood running from his mouth. When silence returned, Euron raised both arms. "Why raid the edge of the world," he called, "when we can rule it?" The roar that answered frightened Theon. He had brought no chests. When his turn came, murmurs followed him to the platform. Some called him Wolf. Others called him Kinslayer, though Balon's body had not been found. Many had grown wealthy under his campaign. More feared Euron's promises and desired them at the same time. Theon looked over the crowd. He had prepared a speech about trade, fleets, treaties, and strategy. It sounded thin after a dragon horn, so he abandoned it. "My father believed pain was proof of strength," he began. "He lost 2 sons, thousands of men, his fleet, and his crown. Then he called the loss honor because admitting failure hurt more." The hill quieted. "I returned wearing fine clothes and speaking like a Greenlander. You laughed. I deserved some of it. I did not know your ships, your captains, your hunger, or your pride. I thought blood would give me what I had not earned." He looked toward Asha. "My sister taught me otherwise." Asha's face changed slightly. "We fought together. We took ships, gold, grain, and harbors. We made Tywin Lannister turn his army away from King's Landing. We helped break a throne without ever seeing its walls. Not with sorcery, not with promises of dragons, with Ironborn crews obeying plans." Stronger than venom. Euron smiled from below. Theon pointed toward the eastern horizon. "Stannis sits the Iron Throne. Robb Stark holds the north and Trident. Tywin holds the west. The Reach has armies larger than our population. Any man who promises you all their kingdoms promises your wives a generation of graves." "Men?" A captain shouted. "What do you promise?" "The truth." Laughter and jeers followed. Theon waited. "The truth is that we cannot conquer the world. The truth is that we can control its western sea. We can make every kingdom pay for safe passage. We can hold Fair Isle, the Shield Islands, perhaps more if we choose battles worth winning. We can build strength our sons inherit instead of songs about how bravely their fathers drowned." He drew Ned's iron direwolf clasp and held it up. Boos erupted. "This was given to me by Eddard Stark." The jeers grew louder. "He took me hostage," Theon shouted over them. "He raised me among the children of the man who defeated us. He could have taught me to hate my blood. Instead, he sent me home before war came. Why? Because he believed a man freely choosing loyalty was stronger than a prisoner obeying fear." The hill quieted by degrees. "I chose the Iron Islands, not Balon's ghosts, not Euron's dreams. These islands as they are, hard, hungry, proud, and capable of more than dying beautifully. He placed the wolf clasp beside his kraken brooch. I will not ask you to forget where I was raised. I will ask whether you prefer a lord who has learned from enemies, or one who has learned nothing from defeat. Euron's smile disappeared. The voting began. Captains raised names in waves. Victarion received the first strong surge. Asha's followers answered. Euron's golden horn drew hundreds. Theon's support began smaller. Merchants, younger captains, shipwrights, men who had received fair shares from Western plunder. Then Harlan Weaver raised Theon's name. The foam drinkers' crew joined. Lord Blacktide joined, followed by men who valued law and remembered Robert's decree. Several captains' first pledge to Asha shifted after she climbed onto the platform beside Theon. Theon and I fought the Western campaign together, she called. I will not divide our strength so Euron can swallow each half. My claim stands, but my ships sail with my brother against the Crow's Eye. Her followers erupted. Victarion watched them, torn between pride and hatred. Then Euron leaned close and whispered something. Victarion struck him. The blow knocked Euron onto one knee. I know what you did to my wife, Victarion said, loud enough for those nearest to hear. Old Scandal moved through the crowd like fire through dry rope. Euron rose with blood at his mouth, still smiling, but Victarion turned toward the platform. I will not follow him, he declared. His supporters divided. Most came to Theon. By sunset, the captains had chosen. Not a king. Theon refused the crown Euron offered in bitter compliance. He took instead the title Lord of the Iron Islands and Protector of the Sunset Sea, with Asha named his acknowledged successor until he had lawful children, and Victarion confirmed as Lord Captain of the Iron Fleet. Euron departed before dawn with the silence and those who still followed him. Theon watched the black ship vanish into fog. He will return, Asha said. Yes. Do you think you won? Theon looked back at the hill, where men divided gifts, argued over votes, and carried away the body of the hornblower. No, he said. I think we survived choosing. Euron's ship disappeared east. Theon sailed south. While the Kingsmoot consumed the islands, the war had moved without him. Stannis consolidated his hold on King's Landing, executed Joffrey after a public inquiry into his birth, and imprisoned Cersei in a tower overlooking the sea. Tommen was sent to Dragonstone under guard. Tyrion remained hand in chains, valued for his knowledge and distrusted for his name. Tywin refused surrender. He crowned Myrcella at Casterly Rock, claiming Stannis had murdered the lawful king and seized the capital through sorcery and treason. Dorne rejected the proclamation despite sheltering the girl. The Tyrells withdrew toward the Reach, uncertain whether to support Tywin, bargain with Stannis, or crown someone of their own choosing. Robb's position had also changed. His victories in the west were real, but his army had bled. Winter approached. News arrived that Bran and Rickon had been murdered at Winterfell by agents loyal to the Lannisters. The report was false. It had begun with a burned mill outside Torrhen Square, and 2 unrecognizable bodies displayed beneath Stark cloaks. The killers hoped to make Robb desperate and sever him from reason. In the confusion, no reliable raven came from Winterfell for weeks. Robb believed his brother's dead. In grief, wounded after a minor battle, he took comfort with Jaime Westerling and married her to preserve her honor. The marriage broke his agreement with House Frey. Walder Frey withdrew his men and demanded apology. Robb, needing passage north and hoping to repair the alliance, agreed to attend the wedding of Edmure Tully and Roslyn Frey at the Twins. Catelyn distrusted the invitation. Theon, returning to Seaguard, distrusted it more. His raiders had captured a merchant cog sailing from Lannisport beneath false colors. Among its cargo were sealed letters sewn inside a bolt of cloth. Most concerned prices and troop movements. One bore the flayed man of Bolton. Theon broke the seal. Roose Bolton's hand was careful, without flourish. He reported northern strength, Robb's route, the mood among bannermen, and the likelihood that the king would seek reconciliation with Walder Frey. Tywin's reply offered pardons, lands, and recognition of Bolton authority in the north if Robb and his principal supporters did not leave the twins alive. A second letter promised river run to the Freys. Theon rode through 2 nights. He reached the twins on the afternoon of the wedding with 40 Ironborn and 100 Lannisters riders. Frey guards barred the bridge. "The feast has begun," their captain said. "Then your kitchens will be busy enough not to notice more guests. No armed men enter." Theon produced the captured letters. "Take these to King Robb." The captain did not reach for them. Lord Walder ordered. Theon drew his sword and placed the point beneath the man's chin. "You have mistaken this for a negotiation." Lannister riders seized the gatehouse before the alarm spread. Theon ordered them to secure the kennels and find Grey Wind. Ironborn climbed riverward walls using ropes from their ships, opening a postern from within. The musicians began playing the Rains of Castamere as Theon entered the feast. He knew the song. Every lord did. Its first notes changed the room before any weapon appeared. Catelyn turned toward the galleries. Robb's hand moved toward a sword he had surrendered under guest right. Walder Frey watched from his high seat. Roose Bolton sat with one pale hand around a wine cup. Theon strode between the tables. "Your Grace," he called. Frey guards moved to block him. The Greyjoy rose, roaring, and overturned a bench. Northern men reached for eating knives, cups, anything that could serve as a weapon. The musicians stopped. Theon threw the letters onto the floor before Robb. "Your host planned a second course." Catelyn seized the nearest parchment. Walder's face collapsed into outrage. "Lies. Ironborn lies." Roose remained still. Crossbowmen appeared in the galleries as Frey captains realized concealment no longer mattered. But Lannister archers stood behind them. Theon's men had reached the upper passages first. One by one, crossbows were lowered. Robb read Tywin's promise. The hall seemed to lose all air. He looked at Roose. "Is this your seal?" Roose set down his cup. "Seals can be stolen. Is it your hand?" "Hands can be copied." Catelyn crossed the space between them and struck him across the face. Roose accepted the blow without changing expression. "You sent word that my sons were dead," she said. "I sent what my riders reported. You sent what made Robb vulnerable." Walder began shouting about guest right, insult, broken promises, and the sanctity of his house. The Greyjoy climbed onto the high table and dragged him from his chair. Frey guards drew weapons. Robb shouted for stillness. His voice carried with a king's force. "No man spills blood beneath this roof until judgment is given." Theon looked toward the galleries. A massacre had been prepared there. The banners hid firing slits. Barrels beneath the musicians' platform contained quarrels. Doors leading from the hall had been barred from outside. Catelyn saw them too. "They meant to kill everyone," she whispered. Robb's face had become gray. Jane stood behind him, one hand over her mouth. Edmure stared at Rosalind Frey, who had begun to cry. Whatever her father planned, the girl appeared not to have known. The Greyjoy held Walder by the collar. "Give me one reason." "Because Robb Stark broke his oath," Walder gasped. "He shamed me before the realm." "So you answer broken marriage vows by murdering guests?" Catelyn asked. "I answer insult." "No," Theon said. "You sell it." He pointed to Tywin's seal. Roose rose. For a moment, Theon thought the man might attempt escape. Instead, Bolton looked at Robb with that same pale calm. "The war is lost," Roose said. "Stannis holds the capital. Tywin holds the west. The north bleeds for a crown it cannot defend. I sought terms. You sought my death," Robb said. "I sought to preserve the north beneath a lord capable of surviving." Robb's eyes shone with disbelief and grief. Roose had commanded his men, advised his counsels, and shared his fires. "You speak of survival after preparing to slaughter your own countrymen. I speak of what remains afterward." Theon understood then why Ned had mistrusted the Boltons through generations. Roose did not love cruelty as Ramsay reportedly did. He considered cruelty a tool, and therefore believed himself innocent whenever it proved useful. Robb drew the small eating knife from his place. Catelyn caught his wrist. "Not here," she said. Guessed right was already broken in intent, but Robb would not break it in deed. Roose, Walder, and the principal conspirators were taken into custody. Frey's soldiers were disarmed. The wedding continued at Roslyn's request, though no music played and guards surrounded every door. Edmure married her with pity, rather than joy. At dawn, judgment was held in the yard between the twin castles. Roose demanded trial by combat. The Greyjoy offered to face him. Robb refused. The letters, hidden weapons, testimony from servants, and confessions of lesser conspirators were sufficient. Roose Bolton was beheaded for treason. Walder Frey was stripped of lordship and sentenced to confinement for life. His heir, who had opposed the massacre, was granted limited control of the crossing under Tully's supervision. House Frey surrendered hostages and gold to compensate the families marked for murder. Robb swung the sword himself. When it was done, he stood in the rain with blood darkening the earth before him. Theon approached. "You saved us," Robb said. "I delivered letters. You saved my mother." Theon glanced toward Catelyn. She stood with Jane and Roslyn beneath the gatehouse, exhausted but alive. "You saved all of them," Robb continued. Theon did not know how to accept gratitude without turning it into a jest. "You would have found a way." "No." The honesty silenced him. Robb looked toward the river. "I thought Bran and Rickon dead. I broke my word to the Freys. I nearly brought everyone I love into a slaughter." "No, you married Jane because you would not dishonor her. I broke one honor to preserve another. Men have done worse for less. My father would have found another way." Theon remembered Ned admitting he might not have been able to execute a hostage. Honor had never made choices simple for him. It had only prevented him from pretending the choices did not wound. "Your father would have understood the cost," Theon said. "That is not the same as condemning you." Robb looked at him. "You speak as though you knew him better." "No." Theon touched the clasp beneath his cloak. "Only differently." Reliable word from Winterfell arrived 3 days later. Bran and Rickon were alive. The murder claim had been false. Northern riders had found the boys safe within the castle under Sir Roderick's protection. The conspirators who spread the report had fled south and were believed connected to Bolton agents. Catelyn sank to her knees when she read the message. Robb laughed and wept openly. The Greyjoy shouted until men on the opposite bank answered. Even hardened Ironborn smiled to see the king's grief transformed into joy. Theon stood apart from the celebration. Catelyn found him there. She took his face between both hands as she had done when he was a boy with a fever, before remembering he was a hostage and growing cautious again. "You brought my son back to me twice," she said. "I did not bring Bran or Rickon." "Robb?" Theon looked away. Catelyn pulled him into an embrace. For a heartbeat he remained rigid. Unable to understand what was happening. Then he closed his arms around her. He remembered no warmth like it from his own mother, though perhaps that memory too had become false. Around them, the twins still bore the marks of a slaughter that had not occurred. History had approached one doorway and found Theon Greyjoy standing in it. The war might have continued until every crown rested upon bones. Stannis held King's Landing and the Narrow Sea. Tywin held Casterly Rock, the Western Mines, and the loyalty of houses too deeply bound to his power to abandon him. The Reach closed its roads and waited. Dorne watched Myrcella. Robb ruled the north and Trident but could not return home without surrendering gains or leaving the Riverlands exposed. Theon controlled the Sunset Sea more firmly than any Greyjoy in generations. None could defeat all the others. Each could prevent peace. Winter deepened. Snow reached the neck. Rivers crusted with ice. Grain became more valuable than silver. Armies that had once marched 20 miles in a day struggled to march 5. Desertion increased. So did disease. Then a raven came from the wall. It bore Jon Snow's hand. Theon recognized it before Robb did. Jon wrote letters, as he had spoken at Winterfell. Directly, without decoration, as though every unnecessary word might be used against him. The dead were walking. The Night's Watch had fought creatures beyond the wall that rose after death. A great host of wildlings fled south from enemies that did not sleep or feel cold. Dragonglass killed the pale beings who commanded the dead. Fire destroyed the bodies they raised. The realm had to send men. Robb read the message before his council at River Run. Some lords dismissed it as fear or wildling trickery. Others crossed themselves. Catelyn believed Jon. The Great Jon demanded they march north at once. Riverlords protested that Tywin would reclaim every castle behind them. Theon said nothing until the arguments exhausted themselves. Then he placed a captured Lannister report on the table. My scouts took this from a ship leaving Lannisport. Tywin knows of the message. Stannis does too. Each waits for the other to move first. I see. Robb's face tightened. Then neither will. Not unless the cost of refusing becomes greater than the cost of peace. What do you propose? A meeting. With Tywin. With Stannis, Tywin, and anyone who prefers living enemies to dead servants. The Great Jon laughed. You will put 3 kings in one room? 2 kings and a lord who crowned a girl. Where? Theon looked north on the map. Eastwatch. No ruler trusted another enough to attend. That became the foundation of the negotiation. Stannis would not travel beyond the wall's castles without hostages guaranteeing his safety. Robb would not surrender his crown merely to obtain a hearing. Tywin refused to sit with men he called rebels and pirates. Theon offered Ironborn ships as neutral transport in Asha, as guarantor in King's Landing. Robb sent the Grey Jon to Casterly Rock beneath peace banners. Stannis placed Davos Seaworth aboard Theon's flagship to ensure no hidden fleet carried northern soldiers. For 6 weeks, ravens crossed the realm. The final gathering was smaller than Theon proposed, but greater than anyone expected. Stannis came to Eastwatch with Davos, Melisandre, and 200 men. He wore no crown, only a black iron circlet. Robb came with Catelyn, the Blackfish, and Northern Guards. Tywin refused to attend personally, but sent Kevan with authority to negotiate. Theon represented the Iron Islands with Asha and Victarion. Jon met them in the frozen yard. He had changed more than Robb. The boy's face had hardened. A scar marked one side. His black cloak was worn white at the shoulders with snow. Yet when he saw Theon, something of their old rivalry returned. The hostage, Jon said. The bastard. Robb looked between them. Have either of you learned new greetings? No, they answered together. For a brief moment, the yard felt like Winterfell. Then Jon showed them the dead man. The corpse had been chained inside an ice cell beneath Eastwatch. Its skin was gray, eyes bright blue. Though one arm had been removed, its remaining hand clawed continuously at the chains. Kevan Lannister went pale. Stannis watched without surprise. Melisandre had prepared him. Robb's face closed in horror. Catelyn whispered a prayer. Victarion raised his axe. Jon drove dragonglass through the corpse's chest. It collapsed instantly. No speech could have achieved what the sight did. The council met in Eastwatch's shield hall while wind screamed beyond the walls. Stannis began by demanding submission. Your crown is unlawful, he told Robb. Your father died defending my right. My father died attempting to expose Joffrey, Robb replied. The North crowned me after the throne murdered him. I did not murder him. You claim the throne that did. I avenged him by executing Joffrey. You executed a boy to strengthen your rule. A monster who stole my brother's crown. Theon struck the table with the pommel of his dagger. The sound silenced them. Dead kings will not care who used the proper title when they rise, he said. Stannis' eyes narrowed. You presume much. I have spent my life beneath men who presumed they owned me. I learned the habit. Davos concealed a smile. Kevin placed Tywin's terms on the table. The West would send 5,000 men north if Stannis recognized Myrcella as Lady of Casterly Rock and pardoned Lannister houses. Stannis refused to recognize a child born of incest as anything. Myrcella did not choose her birth, Catelyn said. Nor did Joffrey. And yet, you killed him. He was a usurper who ordered murders. He was 13. He was old enough to swing a sword through Eddard Stark's neck. The hall chilled beyond the weather. Theon looked at Robb. Grief moved behind his eyes, but he controlled it. What do you require? Robb asked Stannis. Fealty. You know I cannot give it. You can. You will not. The distinction matters. Not to law. Law did not protect my father. Your father died for it. Before Robb could answer, Jon spoke. My lord father died believing the realm mattered more than his life. None of you honor him by using his death to keep armies south. Stannis turned toward him. You are our Lord Commander. No? Two. Then you speak out of turn. I speak because I have seen a child rise with half his face missing and tear out a man's throat. I have watched things made of ice kill brothers who trained all their lives. You may punish me when the dead are burned. 90. And Gandaya. Stannis studied him, perhaps hearing Ned in the words. Davos began forming practical terms. A truce of 3 years among all parties. Joint support for the Night's Watch. Ports opened for grain shipments. Prisoners exchanged. No movement of armies into disputed lands while the northern threat endured. The question of crowns remained. Theon proposed a formula designed to satisfy no one completely. Stannis would be acknowledged as king upon the Iron Throne by every southern house participating in the truce. Robb would retain the title king in the north within his own lands, without Stannis formally recognizing northern independence. The legal dispute would be postponed until the war against the dead ended. Stannis rejected ambiguity. Robb rejected kneeling. They argued until night. At dawn, a horn sounded from the wall. Then a second. Then a third. Men ran into the yard. A ranger staggered through the gate, half frozen, leading survivors from a destroyed outpost. Thousands of dead moved through the haunted forest. The pale commanders had been seen upon dead horses. Free folk camps vanished overnight. The enemy was not waiting for diplomacy. Stannis looked toward the wall. What strength can the North raise? He asked. Robb answered. 20,000 within 2 months, fewer if the roads close. The Riverlands? 8,000. Stannis turned to Kevin. The West? Kevin hesitated. 5,000 immediately. More after spring. There may be no spring, Melisandre said. Theon unfolded a sea chart. The Iron Islands can move grain and men to Eastwatch faster than roads. My ships can evacuate coastal settlements beyond the wall if the Night's Watch guides us. We can bring dragonglass from Dragonstone. Stannis' gaze shifted to him. Dragonstone is mine. So is the glass useful while buried. Davos coughed into one hand. By midday, the truce was signed. Stannis did not recognize Robb's independence. Robb did not swear fealty. Both affixed their seals beneath language, declaring all disputes suspended until the inhuman enemy beyond the wall is destroyed or driven from the realms of men. Tywin's seal was added by proxy. Theon signed for the Iron Islands. The first joint fleet departed Dragonstone. 3 weeks later, carrying dragonglass north. Ironborn crews sailed beside royal galleys. Lannister gold purchased grain from the Reach. Northern timber repaired Eastwatch's piers. Free folk were allowed south under guarded settlement agreements. Suspicion did not vanish. Men fought in taverns over old banners. Stannis officers called Robb rebel. Northern soldiers called them kneelers. Ironborn stole from supply piles until Theon nailed 3 offenders to the masts by their hands and made them repay what they took. But the food arrived. The weapons arrived. The realm, divided by living kings, began preparing for dead ones. One evening, Theon found Jon on Eastwatch's frozen shore. Ships filled the bay, their dark hulls surrounded by broken ice. Sailors carried crates of dragon glass up the beach. "You returned to Pyke," Jon said. "Did you find what you wanted?" "No." Jon glanced at him. "I found things I did not know to want," Theon continued. "A sister, captains who argue with every order, a kingdom that refuses to call itself one, and a crown? I refused it." Jon smiled faintly. "You? It was ugly. That stopped you." "It did not match my eyes. They watched men work." "Robb says you prevented his murder," Jon said. "The phrase did most of the planning. I merely interrupted." "He trusts you. He always did. That was the problem." "Why?" "Because I wanted to deserve it, and resented him for making me try." Jon understood. He had spent his youth loving Robb and measuring every difference between them. "The dead will come," Jon said. "I believe you. Most men did not. I have met Euron. My standards for impossible evil have broadened." Jon became serious. "When they come, titles will not matter. They always matter to someone. Even then, especially then, fear makes men clutch whatever names tell them who they are." Jon looked toward the ships. Kraken banners hung beside direwolves, crowned stags, lions, and the black flags of the Watch. "What name will you clutch?" he asked. Theon considered the sea. Pyke, Winterfell, Ned's clasp, Balon's empty chair, and Robb waiting inside a hall with a crown he never saw. "The one I choose," he said. The dead crossed the wall in the second year of the truce. No agreement among kings stopped them. No crown commanded them. They came through a breach opened by ancient cold, moving beneath storms that buried roads and turned noon to twilight. The war that followed was not won in a single battle. It was fought at frozen villages, beneath black pines, along the shores of the Bay of Seals, and across fields where armies burned their own fallen before night. Men learned to carry dragon glass beside steel. Priests of 7 gods worked beside red priests, drowned men, heart tree worshippers, and free folk who had never knelt to any southern faith. Theon's ships became the lifeline of the north. They carried grain from the Reach, or from the west, and refugees from settlements abandoned before the dead. Asha commanded the eastern runs, sailing through ice fields where Greenland captains refused to go. Victarion led assaults from the coast, striking columns of whites trapped between cliffs and fire ships. Stannis fought at the wall with relentless courage. Robb commanded the living armies south of it. Jon became the voice men trusted when terror made every rumor plausible. Tywin never came north. Age, pride, and the defense of Casterly Rock kept him in the west, but he sent soldiers, gold, and smiths. Some called it cowardice. Others called it the first payment of a debt he would never admit. The enemy was finally broken near the Long Lake. Melisandre's fires drove the Pale commanders toward a line of trenches packed with dragon glass. Northern archers rained black shards from the ridges. Stannis held the center. Robb's cavalry struck the flanks where frozen ground allowed horses to charge. Theon led men across the lake. It was a plan no sane commander would have accepted if Asha had not discovered the ice was thicker near the northern shore. Ironborn hauled small boats over the frozen surface, using their shields as sledges. When the dead turned toward them, pitch-filled hulls were ignited and pushed into their ranks. Fire spread across the ice. The pale creatures shattered beneath dragonglass axes. Thousands of whites collapsed when the last commander fell. The victory cost more lives than any singer could count cleanly. Stannis survived the battle, but not the winter. A wound from an ice blade blackened his blood. He died at Castle Black after naming no heir and ordering that the realm choose someone capable of obeying law without worshipping power. Davos laughed and wept when he repeated the words. The Iron Throne remained empty for 9 months. Cersei died in confinement during the coldest winter in living memory. Tywin was murdered at Casterly Rock by a household knight whose family had starved while grain was hoarded for the garrison. Myrcella renounced her disputed crown and remained in Dorne. Tommen entered the faith. The surviving southern lords gathered at Harrenhal. No candidate possessed strength to conquer the others. The memory of the dead made another war difficult to justify, though not impossible. After months of bargaining, they chose a council monarchy. The ruler of the southern kingdoms would be selected by great houses and confirmed under law, with powers limited by written compact. Davos Seaworth refused nomination. Garland Tyrell was chosen. The North did not attend as a subject. Neither did the Iron Islands. The treaty signed afterward acknowledged what war had already made true. Robb Stark was king in the North and Trident. Theon Greyjoy was lord of the Iron Islands and protector of the Sunset Sea, bound to the north by mutual defense but not submission. The Southern Crown renounced claims over both in exchange for open trade, navigation rights, and common military obligations should the dead return. No one received everything. That was why the peace endured. 5 years after Robert Baratheon rode into Winterfell, Theon returned through its gates. Snow fell lightly. He came not beneath a king's banner but beneath the kraken, with Asha riding beside him and 20 captains behind. Northern guards opened the gate without reaching for weapons. Children crowded the yard to see the Ironborn. Some wore carved wooden krakens around their necks beside direwolves. Winterfell had changed. New stone marked places burned during raids by Bolton loyalists. Bran had overseen the rebuilding from a wheeled chair, designing stronger gates and granaries, large enough to survive another long winter. Rickon ran through the yard with a pack of dogs and little memory of Theon beyond old stories. Sansa had returned from King's Landing harder, quieter, and far more dangerous than the girl who once dreamed of princes. Arya arrived months later from across the sea and refused to explain half the scars she carried. Catelyn waited beneath the gatehouse. Age had silvered her hair. Grief had not left her face, but it no longer ruled it. "You are late," she told Theon. "The sea objected. The sea has objected every time you visit. It dislikes sharing me." She embraced him before the watching households. Ironborn captains pretended not to notice. Robb met him in the Great Hall. The crown sat lightly on Robb now, though gray had begun to appear at his temples. Jane stood beside him, holding their young daughter. Grey Wind was gone, killed in the war against the dead, but one of his grown offspring slept near the hearth. Theon stopped in the same place where Robert had asked whether he wanted to go home. Memory folded the years together. Robert laughing at the table, Ned watching in silence, Robb young and angry, Theon pretending nothing frightened him. "You are staring," Robb said. "I was remembering your father's talent for ruining simple evenings." Robb smiled. "He sent you home." He complicated the meaning of the word. Jon entered from the side passage wearing black. He was Lord Commander now, elected after years of refusing the position. The Night's Watch had changed beneath him. It guarded the northern frontier, mediated with free folk settlements, and studied every fragment of knowledge left by the enemy. "The hostage returns," Jon said. "The bastard remains." "You are both too old for this," Sansa remarked from the high table. "Age has not improved him," Theon said. Arya appeared behind him and pressed a dagger lightly against his ribs. "Nor you." He froze. She smiled without warmth and removed the blade. "Your family remains welcoming," Asha said. "They practice." The feast began at sunset. Northern Ale stood beside Ironborn black beer. Musicians alternated between songs of the Wolfswood and harsh sea chants. Old men who once fought at Seaguard argued over whose version of battle was more dishonest. Younger warriors, born after the rebellion, listened without inheriting all the hatred. Not all wounds had healed. Some never would. A Mallister knight refused to drink with Victarion. An Ironborn widow left the hall after hearing a song praising Robert's assault on Pyke. Northern mothers still told children that raiders came from the sea. Ironborn priests still preached that Greenland ways softened men. Peace did not erase memory. It made room around it. Late in the evening, Theon left the hall and walked to the Godswood. Snow whispered through red leaves. The heart tree remained as he remembered, pale trunk and carved face stained dark by sap. Ned had prayed there. Robb had found him there the night before Theon first rode to war. Jon had stood beneath those branches as a boy uncertain whether the gods heard bastards. Theon placed one hand against the bark. He did not pray often. The drowned god had always seemed to him a god demanding proof through suffering. The old gods demanded nothing and explained nothing. Perhaps that was why Ned trusted them. Footsteps approached. Robb joined him. "You vanish from every feast," Robb said. "I enjoy making kings search for me. You are fortunate I remember where you hide." They stood together beneath the tree. "My father believed sending you home would bind the islands to the realm," Robb said. He was wrong. Was he? The realm broke. The islands did not attack the north. Balon tried. You stopped him. The Iron Islands became independent. So did we. Theon looked at the carved face. Ned wanted loyalty. He wanted you to choose. And if I had chosen Balon, Robb considered the question. He would have regretted it. Only regretted? He would have fought you. Theon laughed softly. There's the Stark. Robb's smile faded into thought. Do you believe he knew what would happen? No. Then why did he do it? Theon had asked himself that through every year of war. Ned could not have foreseen Robert's death, Joffrey's cruelty, Balon's plans. The Western Campaign, Stannis' victory, Euron's return, the twins, or the dead. He had possessed no secret knowledge. He had acted with incomplete information and accepted the risk. Perhaps that was the true difference between honor and innocence. Innocence expected goodness to be rewarded. Honor chose what was right without such assurance. He saw that keeping me was easier, Theon said. So he distrusted it. Robb looked at him. Most men call the easiest cruel thing necessary, Theon continued. Your father feared what necessity made of men. He sent me away before he could become the man who killed a hostage he loved. The final word escaped before Theon could prevent it. Robb did not mock him. Yes, he said. He loved you. Theon looked toward the dark pool. For years, he had believed acknowledging that truth would betray Balon. Later, he feared it would reduce every decision to gratitude owed. Now both fathers were dead, their failures and virtues beyond repair. Balon had given him blood, salt, pride, and wounds. Ned had given him discipline, choice, and the unbearable knowledge that he could have become better before he believed it himself. Theon belonged wholly to neither man. That no longer felt like emptiness. The next morning, he climbed Winterfell's battlements. Asha joined him with 2 cups of hot wine. Beyond the walls, snow-covered fields stretched toward the King's Road. Smoke rose from villages rebuilt after winter. Merchants traveled beneath guards bearing both wolf and kraken badges. You look sentimental, she said. I am freezing. Pyke has made you soft. Winterfell did that, according to everyone on Pyke. And what did Pyke make you? Theon accepted the cup. Below, Robb crossed the yard with his daughter seated before him on a small horse. Jon spoke with Bran near the armory. Catelyn stood beneath the covered walk, directing servants with the authority of a woman who had outlived kings, traitors, and winter itself. Theon looked west, though the sea lay far beyond sight. Difficult, he said. Asha laughed. You were always difficult. Then Pyke made me useful. Horns sounded at the gate. An Ironborn trading convoy had arrived from the west carrying salt, worked steel, and oranges purchased in Old Town. Northern wagons waited to exchange timber, wool, and grain. Men shouted prices. Guards inspected seals. Children ran between wheels until chased away. Once, such ships would have come as raiders. Once, Winterfell would have counted Theon among its defenses, while Pyke counted him among its grievances. Robert had carried him across the sea beneath the crowned stag. Ned had surrendered the certainty of a hostage for the uncertainty of a man. Balon had tried to drag him backward into an inherited hatred. Robb had trusted him when distrust would have been safer. The world had nearly ended despite all of it. Yet morning spread across the north. Asha rested her arms on the battlement. "When do we sail?" "Tomorrow. You told Robb we would remain a fortnight. Then the day after tomorrow. He will complain. He is a king. Complaining is governance." She shook her head. Theon watched the gates open for the convoy. There had been no single moment when he became a Stark or ceased being one. No ceremony made him truly Ironborn. Crowns, oaths, blood, and names had all tried to define him, and each had proved too small. He was the boy taken from Pyke, the ward raised at Winterfell, the son who defied his father, the brother who stood beside his sister, the friend who reached the twins before the song ended, the lord who refused a crown and commanded a sea. Every contradiction belonged to him. He touched the iron direwolf clasp he still wore beneath the golden kraken. Then Theon Greyjoy descended from the wall to meet the people who had once been enemies, carrying both symbols close to his heart and bending the knee to neither.